A little coffee, right? Diego Alves. Let's follow Filipe Luís's press conference, footage from the training session with Jessica Clube de Regatas do Flamengo Mengo's training, straight from Doha for you. No, but I'll start here with the question, Cafezinho Diego Alves from Filipe Luís, and also start with the question from Simon Lado from Colombia do Fla. What did Filipe say? Which team does Paris Saint-Germain resemble more, Bayern or Chelsea? We'd prefer it to resemble Chelsea. Let's follow the press conference with all the questions. And Flamengo's training soon will also have the mixed zone and Mingo's training and general news. Subscribe to the channel, enable notifications by clicking the bell, and leave a like on the video. Red and black greetings. This is Flamengo.
Here's Filipe Luís. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I wanted to ask Filipe Luís, I know we're about to have a big game, a big final, but I wanted to know about Filipe Luís, the person. If he looks back, end of 2023, when you announced your retirement, Flamengo Rádio Roberto subtitles, Sônia Roberti.
Subtitles by Sonia?
Subtitles by Sônia Roberti. Subtitles, Sônia Roberti.
Subtitles by Sonia.
Subtitles, Sonia Roberti. Subtitles, Sonia Roberti. Subtitles by Sonia Roberti. Subtitles, Sonia Roberti. Subtitles, Sonia Roberti. Subtitles by Sonia Roberti. Subtitles by Sonia Roberti. Subtitles, Sonia Roberti. Subtitles by Sonia Roberti. Subtitles. Sonia Roberti.
Subtitles ready. Subtitles, Sônia Roberti. Subtitles by Sônia Roberti. Subtitles?
Sonia Ruberti subtitles by Sonia Ruberti subtitles by Sonia Ruberti subtitles. Sonia Ruberti subtitles by 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 Sonia Ruberti. Subtitles, Sonia Ruberti subtitles, Sonia Ruberti. Subtitles by Sonia Ruberti. Also to be remembered for making Flamengo even greater. This will further elevate the 81 generation and also the 19 and 22 generations, all of them who won great titles, and the one who will benefit from this is Flamengo. So that's the main thing on our minds, to make our own history, put our picture on the wall, and leave our mark.
Filipe Luís from Coluna do Fla. This will be the third match then against a European giant this year. We had Chelsea a year where Flamengo surpassed themselves and made that historic comeback. Then there was the loss against Bayern, and the fans talk a lot about that. What does this match against Paris Saint-Germain mean? No matter how much praise they get, this team seems to be the best in the world. Does it remind you more of Chelsea, who beat Paris Saint-Germain in the Club World Cup, or does it look more like Bayern? So in the way you see the opponent, even though it's a different team, what can the fans expect?
Flamengo, in my opinion, is a team very similar to Chelsea because Bayern is a physically very strong team, very strong. Paris, when it comes to raw physical strength, right? In that same profile, they are lighter, more agile, and faster players than Bayern. It's a bit similar to the player profile at Chelsea, which you can't even compare because they're completely different teams, all three of them, right? That sometimes play similarly during certain parts of the game. But because of the physicality, I could say it's a bit more similar to Chelsea, right? They're different opponents, different plans, different games, systems, structures, set pieces, everything, absolutely everything's different. So it's a new game. Until we win the Libertadores. People kept saying all season that our experienced team didn't know how to play in the Libertadores, and I'm sorry, but that's what I kept hearing. Libertadores, saying the team lacked soul and toughness, but that wasn't true. Now we've won, and suddenly we're an experienced team. And I don't think about that. I think about the player's quality, about how he deals with different types of situations throughout the game. This Paris Saint-Germain won against one of the most experienced teams in Europe, which was Internazionale Milano, against one of the best defenses in Europe, which was Internazionale Milano. A young but very experienced team. We, in the Libertadores final, won with a theoretically more experienced team against a younger team, which was Palmeiras. For me, what defines a final, what defines a better team is the decisions they make. With the ball and without the ball, within the context of the game, regardless of whether it's a final or a semi-final. And in that, my players have already shown throughout this year and also last year that they are really great. They are huge players. Most of them have already played for the biggest clubs in Europe, and they are players who have earned the right to play for Flamengo because they are very good. So since they are good, I always expect it, and I already know it. I expect the best version of them in tomorrow's game, and I am confident that they will be at their best, especially because they had time to rest.
Filipe Luís, Simpleshoff Gol Brasil, and Placar Magazine. In 2019, you played that final against Liverpool, a really tough game, also between the two teams. It went to extra time, and I wanted you to explain to us a little bit about what you see as different between that Flamengo from 2019 and this Flamengo from 2025. What does this 2025 Flamengo maybe have as an advantage over that 2019 Flamengo that hadn't won any titles for a long time and got here after winning that Libertadores the way it happened? What differences do you see between these two teams, and what do you think could be a positive point this time?
Actually, I never stopped to think about the difference between the two teams. They're both teams that made history, but they're very different teams. From that group, only Arrascaeta and Bruno Henrique are still here as players. There's no one else. I think there's no one else from that group. That's it. From that group, there's no one else, and it's against a different opponent. I don't think it's a fair or comparable context. That group made that history. It was beautiful. It was a love story with the fans. It was a group that made history. And now this group of players, who are practically all new to the club, want to make their own history and want to be remembered too. For that, we have to avoid comparing ourselves and instead focus on making our own history.
They're shouting, I'll get the Zerica. The vibe is great. It's really lively here. Another day of training, another day with this little game they like. Very good. The vibe that we love. Bruno Henrique jokes with Diego Alves, inviting him to play. It's really cool, this interaction with Diego, right? And the training continues here. Royal's here, and Danilo is returning. Very good. All of them there warming up well. Now, yes, look. The training has actually started. And they're there warming up.
The ones with the cases, they're leaving the cases kind of warmed up.
Final moments here of the training that's open to us, right? These first 15 minutes, but just so you can follow along a little more. Look, everyone is very excited. It's an intense training, okay? Everything's already worked out. I'm very confident. We will be, huh? Look, we will be. They all believe that. So do I.
Play.
Plata over there playing. Yeah, that's it. Everything's already worked out. Participating intensely.
That's it. But you can't list that on your resume. I think I can go to Brazil, right? After this? It can't be. That's it.
One detail I noticed here. Pedro is training and he's constantly putting his hand on his left thigh. He stops and grabs it. Let's follow his training a bit and show it to you.
First, what he says is true. When you put on the shirt, you belong, right? At the moment you sign the contract, you belong to Flamengo. There's something that always makes you give a little extra, right? Winning titles in an incredible way, like it was in 2019, that comeback. To practically repeat the same achievement in the same stadium this year against an opponent we had lost to. So there are these mysteries that make you believe there's always something more. But soccer is made up of players, clubs are made up of players who come through this place to try to make history. And Jorginho is one of the main people responsible for improving and always making our locker room environments so pleasant, right? So these players who arrived, along with those who were already here and have huge ambition, were the main ones responsible for putting Flamengo back in the fight for major titles. Tomorrow we'll face an opponent who also made history. Both of us made history. Paris won their first Champions League. They have players everyone knows. They're some of the best, maybe even in the world. Both Flamengo and Paris want to make history. We believe it's possible, and we're going to try everything we can to make it happen. No, we didn't talk about the Bayern game. Every game is different. We're not going to play against Bayern. It's going to be against Paris, which is a different opponent. Even though the way they play, the way they try to press is different, the intensity and the energy they put into the pressure is the same. At that moment, I believed it was the best plan to beat Bayern Munich, which is a very strong team, and they were better than us. Now it's going to be another plan, another approach, which I believe will bring the team as close as possible to victory, but always never giving up on our principles. That's what our team has been throughout the whole season. And that's what Flamengo's DNA demands. So a new game, a new story, and Luis Araujo is right about a very important detail. In a final, try to make as few mistakes as possible, because we already know how hard it is to turn a result around in a final. Pedro is available, as you said. The whole group is available for me to make decisions. It's very important that we're all prepared for this big moment, and I have no doubt it's the last one of the season. And any effort they make will not be enough, because we know we'll need the best from each one of them. To be able to win this game, we'll need to play a perfect game. Is it possible? Of course I believe it. Of course I pass that on to the players. In soccer, anything is possible, but not just with words, but because I really think my players are the best. I've always told them that ever since I took over. From the moment I saw them play and train, I noticed their ambition and how they handle things. So this group is capable of anything. They're capable of making history. Since I believe in them so much, they obviously also believe that it's possible. We played against the opponent this year. It wasn't easy. Several opponents made things difficult for us, and I have no doubt that Paris Saint-Germain will make things difficult for us. The most important thing is that the team knows how to play every phase of the game, so that, I repeat, we can play the perfect game and win. Man, I hadn't seen him say that. I always watch the press conferences, right? I have no doubt that such young, fast players will put us in trouble at certain moments of the game, just like several other teams in Brazil, in the Libertadores, and even in the Club World Cup have already put us in trouble. Our players have played against the fastest ones, right? From Chelsea, from Bayern. And there is a way that we have to defend. We don't just defend the player, we always defend as a team the ball, with reference, always where the ball is, and we hope that we can take as much time as possible away from those decisive players, especially the midfielders who are very dynamic and have a lot of quality. But I have no doubt that we will have the tools to neutralize Paris Saint-Germain's attack. Well, Chelsea played a perfect game against Paris Saint-Germain. They knew how to neutralize their attack very well. It was a different context, I repeat, a different type of grass, a different climate. It was hot and also a different time of the year. The clubs were coming to the end of the season, but Chelsea knew how to hurt Paris, especially when they had the ball and made Paris suffer with some details. They also paved the way for several other teams to do the same from that game on. That's true, but it's different now. Paris is different. They lost, for example, one of their best players, which is Hakimi. Does that have any implications, any changes for their team as well? But I have no doubt that they have a squad with a lot of quality to replace that player and be just as solid as they were last season. The Corinthians versus Chelsea match, as you said, was 13 years ago, and football has changed a lot since. You can see the level of European football and how Brazilian football's competitiveness is rising. So in a game, anything can happen. In recent years, it has always gone their way, but we hope we can turn this story around. There were impactful changes, such as allowing any player to receive the ball inside the box from a goal kick. That was also a big change, which had a huge impact on building up play in modern soccer. But that's true, like you said, before the pandemic, there were 3 substitutions. I always think about the substitutions a lot of times. The game demands it. The coach has to feel it. Many times we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong, depending on what's happening on the field. With extra time, you can even add a 6th one. So, of course, if you start with 10 players and then you end up with, out of those 10, only 4 finish, it's extra time, so naturally the team gets thrown off too. We have to be careful as coaches so the team doesn't lose the structure, solidity, and stability that has been there since the players who started. So it was a big change. It really benefits the teams with the squad. Superior financially with a large squad. But I think it was a good change even to reduce the number of injuries. I'm not sure if that happened, but for me, it was a positive change for soccer. Yes, well, not just Paris, but most games are decided by territorial dominance. In the midfield, of course, there are 3 players of that level you mentioned who are so dynamic, physically powerful, that they're able to cover a lot of ground, run many kilometers, and take on almost 2 roles at once. 2 positions in one is very hard to defend against. So, especially because since they're such dynamic players, it's even hard to give your defenders references to be able to follow those marks. Of course, several teams have played against them. Everyone tried different strategies and few managed to neutralize them because it's a team with a lot of quality. They know how to get out of pressure. They're very fast when they're pressed and need to play the long ball. They have players who are fast, dangerous, and offensively powerful. So it's not a team that just has 3 players in the midfield. It's a very complete team in all phases. No wonder they won the Champions League, which is why I say this. Our midfielders aren't the only ones who must play their best. The entire team must play flawlessly to neutralize what remains the best team in the world. It's never about having or not having the ball. That's not the mindset. First, the player's moment, the team's moment, what the team needs. I always think about what's going to be best for the team with the ball and without the ball. For me, I don't separate those 2 phases. They go together. And of course, it's essential that the players understand what to do without the ball and also with the ball. So I will still go. Actually, I already know, but there's still one more day until tomorrow to see how the players are feeling, their current form, and the characteristics the team needs to be able to decide on the best option. The 11, in my opinion, that can neutralize and most importantly, play against Paris Saint-Germain.
Filipe Luís, good afternoon. Gabriel Orfan from Plaka. Is this the end of your first year as a professional coach? And during this time, you faced teams that we could call lower budget teams. You faced big teams from Brazil, from South America, and European giants. I'd like to understand from you what are the main differences when it comes to preparing your team, whether it's to face a lower budget team, a South American team, or even a European giant like Paris Saint-Germain. Thank you, Filera.
It basically doesn't change. It's the same story. We always study the opponent. We prepare what is the game plan also based on the characteristics of our players and the style of play that Flamengo requires. And from there, if the opponent has less or more quality, that will determine where we play, whether it's near the opponent's box or near our own box. But the players are prepared for all kinds of situations and against any type of opponent. And then on the field, they're the ones who bring the magic, who make the magic happen.
Filipe Luís, how are you? Let me go back a little to the matter of your encounters with Luis Enrique when you were a player and he was already a coach. I wanted to ask you, you spoke very enthusiastically about how you had many strategies to beat that Barcelona, a historic team. What qualities of Atletico, of Diego Simeone, or at least of the best versions of Diego Simeone's Atletico? Who do you want to see play for Flamengo against Paris Saint-Germain tomorrow?
What I've been seeing throughout almost the whole year, which is the competitiveness, the way my team competes. My team knows how to play out from the back with the goalkeeper, knows how to play with a medium build-up, and also knows how to play long. My team knows how to press high, but also knows how to drop back and defend with all 10 players behind the ball. They even know how to play a man down. We've even gone through penalty shootouts this year because it's a very competitive team, and that's maybe the biggest thing I see. One of the most similar things between the two teams is the way they compete, how they get excited for every ball, how they support their teammates. When a teammate makes a mistake and when the team is struggling, they all suffer together, and when they're pressing, they all press together too. That, for me, is what most reflects that Atletico and what made me most proud of my team. Today, I never stopped to think about those individual achievements. It was never something that moved me, not as a player, nor as a coach. Being a champion is my only motivation and all I think about. Today we have it. Tomorrow we'll have the opportunity to play in another final. There are players who go their whole careers and never play in a final or a semi-final of an important competition. And today we have that possibility. So the only thing on my mind today is to be as mentally prepared as possible to set the path for my players, and that they understand our plan very well so we can win this game, which is going to be very tough against Paris Saint-Germain. Becoming champions in the Flamengo jersey is our biggest motivation.